What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's happening to the market as we have some new technical developments coming out, some new pieces of data coming out that's very important, and also what's going on with tomorrow as we have many Fed speakers. But before I break into all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. And it could be a free NIO or Tesla share, and the offer ends in just 12 days. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market. So, NIO is down 1.94% for the day, about 2%. The market is just about to close. And once again, we ended up seeing more and more selling for the markets as the market has broken some key levels. However, the question is, will the market continue selling off like this, or are we going to try to bounce very soon? And the answer is, I believe there's going to be ultimately more downside coming to the markets. The market could get a very small gap or bounce tomorrow before it sells off even more, in my opinion. I believe that the bears have the edge in this market. I'm going to break down exactly why that is and how this can end up affecting NIO. So when it comes to data affecting the markets for tomorrow, we have the PMI data coming out 15 minutes after the market opens, and also 30 minutes after the market opens. All these PMI reports are going to be coming out. Now, this could cause some volatility during this time frame, but I don't believe it's going to be that crazy. Then later on, we have Schmidt from the Fed giving a speech at about 10:05 a.m. And then we have Bowman from the Fed giving a speech at about 11:25 a.m. So you have all these different Fed speakers coming out. We also have all this data coming out that's going to be very important. So make sure you're ready for this and you watch all of this very carefully. Now, when it comes to seasonality, I just want to remind everyone that October tends to be the time the market tries to bounce during the first 1 to 2 weeks. Then we tend to see a new bottom or more selling during the third week before the market bounces. I believe that during the month of October, the market's going to make its bottom for the year. The market's going to, not for the year, sorry, for this cycle. We're going to make our bottom for this cycle. And then we're eventually going to see a very nice bounce for November and December. I do lead in that direction, but it's going to depend on earnings and other factors. But as of right now, this seems very probable for the month of October. Now, fear is still driving the market, so there's going to likely be more downside coming, which could drag stocks like NIO down. I'm going to break down exactly why in just a few minutes. But when it comes to SPY, okay, we've been continuing to sell off. We have a potential bounce that could be coming right here. I think that we might gap up tomorrow and just try to backtest this breakout area, but we did break below our 200 EMA on the daily chart, and we broke below our key support trend line right over here, which tells me that there's likely going to be more selling coming because when you zoom out of SPY, we have this much larger head and shoulders on SPY. We have a similar one on the QQQ, on the NASDAQ, and the market is continuing to look bearish. So there's likely going to be more downside coming as a result of this. We could rebound a little tomorrow, a little bounce before we continue selling off. And if we break 420, we're going to turn very bearish. 418 is going to be on the table, 416, and these lower levels. Now for NIO, this news has come out right here. NIO is talking about the EC6 lighting up, and once again showing more and more diversification in their different models and their areas and how well it's going to be performing. Now, this is still making a lot of headlines because of the fact that it's using the NT 2.0 platform. That's the next gen system that they're using. It's better, it's faster, faster charging, better performance, and better driving assist features. So there's some great things about it, from its great design to its very, very nice sports car like aerodynamics, which are designed in it. Not to mention the fact that it's very comfy, has amazing seats and awesome looking colors that come for the interior. It looks very, very cool. I think that this could be a very big bullish catalyst for the company's long term. But please remember that their deliveries tend to be a little bit slower for the months of September and also for October, a little slower, but then November and December tend to be much stronger for NIO. So yes, NIO has some downside that could be coming. It's going to be okay. Do not panic because there's going to be a very, very strong reward at the end of the year, in my opinion, for the company. I'm very excited for how things are going to end nonetheless. Now, as far as NIO goes, the volume was only 24 million, so it has very low volume, not a whole lot of insane pressure in either direction. On top of this, Deutsche Bank is still maintaining a buy rating for NIO. The price price ratio is kind of flat, as NIO is very flat as well. And not a whole lot is going on with the short sales volume. So now I just want to talk about the technicals for NIO and the market. How on earth are things looking? So the answer is, Like I told you guys yesterday, I was expecting some downside for NIO, and that's what happened today. Now, with this potential head and shoulders like pattern that developed in the 4 hour chart, you could also argue that there's a much larger head and shoulders like right here that's been playing out, leading to more downside and for a full measured move into the sevens. I wouldn't necessarily count on that just yet, but I do believe there's still more downside potentially coming. I think that NIO is due for some more because of how the market is performing. Now, looking at how things could end up performing moving forward, I believe that NIO it has potential to bounce just a little bit, get a rebound to like 8.73 off this 5 EMA, retest 8.73 to 8.8, then reject and continue selling off. I think there might be more downside and it's going to eventually make its way down to 8.5 or below that. And I think that this sell off is going to continue. Now, is it going to be the end of the world? It's not the end of the world because NIO is going to see a monstrous bounce towards the end of the year. But for now, there's going to be more selling with the whole market. Now, we can't just attack NIO. Please note that SPY is selling off too. Tesla is selling off. The entire stock market is selling off as we're seeing a big shift in sentiment. We've broken our low on SPY. We do have a bullish divergence right here. We're attempting to bounce. So I think that we're going to either gap up or try to like rebound towards 423. I think the market's going to bounce in the morning and then push closer to 424 or so, then reject off that and continue selling off as time goes on. I believe during the later days of the week, if not by next week, we should be breaking below 420 to break to these new low levels that we haven't seen in quite a while. So I think that there's going to be a bounce coming first for tomorrow, a little rebound before we continue selling, and we might see SPY continue to sell off. As for Tesla, we have something very similar developing. Tesla's looking weaker on the 4 hour chart. I just want to call out the fact that Tesla has this potential head and shoulders on the 4 hour time frame, but at the same time, on the 4 hour, we have this potential inverse head and shoulders. So there's a chance Tesla rebounds towards this like 249, 248 area. Then we reject off that and continue selling off later on. And I think that's very probable what's about to happen. A little rebound before this thing continues to sell off. If it breaks below 244.5, we could see this thing continue to look weak. If 240 in particular breaks, it's going to turn even weaker, leading to more potential downside. For Apple, I wanted to call out Apple stock. This is also looking a little bit weaker as we're seeing a shift in the trend. It's not really breaking down just yet since we have like this cup and handle, but at the same time, you want to be watching to see how it reacts to this. Apple might rebound and retest 173.4, and then if it does break above this, we could try to push a little higher. But my gut tells me it's not going to push up much. It's just going to be a small little bounce before it continues selling. I think Apple does have potential to continue dropping towards 170. The QQQ looks a little weaker. You guys can see this clear head and shoulders that has developed on the charts. I can even zoom out and show you what it's looking like. It's like right here we have this head and shoulders, and that could lead to more downside. On top of this, it's looking very weak on the 4 hour time frame, continuing to look weaker and weaker as time goes on. On the daily time frame, this is also once again still looking more bearish. So I believe that the QQQ is going to rebound a little bit, retest 357, reject off that, then continue to sell off as the days go on, back to 353 or below that. And I think there's more downside coming nonetheless. For Nvda, I think the same thing is going on. We have this gap down here on the daily, down here around this 431 area. I think Nvidia is going to rebound, retest 440 or so, and then it may end up rejecting and continue to sell off and eventually fill this gap down here to 430. So watch for a little rebound first, a backtest to 438 to 440, then more potential selling either tomorrow or the day after to come down and fill this gap. And if 430 fails us, we could be on our way down to 425, which is another important support. So I do anticipate a little pop and drop on Nvidia and throughout the market. And I think that this is going to have a big effect on NIO. NIO could rebound and retest 8.73 to 8.8, then reject off that and continue selling off towards this 8.5 area. If that fails us, we could be watching it get close to like 8.25 or even below that. So I'm leaning a bit more in that direction. I think it's going to be very probable that that's what's going to end up happening. With that said, I just want to thank everyone so much for listening. So for NIO, there is some downside potential. I hope you guys are all very well and you guys are prepared for it. Don't look at this as a very, very bad scenario because NIO's fundamentals are still very strong. I think it's improving big time, and we're going to see some very strong deliveries to end the year. So there may be some downside for the short term, but for the long term, I'm still very bullish on NIO, and I see so much potential for the share price as time goes on. All right, so that's what I'm seeing for this video. Thank you all so much for listening. Get ready for what's about to happen tomorrow. Look for a little pop, then drop as time goes on, and we will continue from there. Thank you for listening. Have a good one, and peace out.